It's the Clevo King here. This is the video you've all been waiting for. I'm going to show you the differences between a case fill and a pan fill C4. Alright guys, if you want to come with me over here, the first thing I'm going to point out is the differences in the boxes externally. When you look at this gearbox over here, do you mind bringing the camera over here? Thanks, bro. This is what they call a case fill C4, where the dipstick goes into the case, and these have a stepped bell housing. If you want to come around the front here, these bell housings unbolt from the pump, not from the case of the C4. These are from 289, 302 Windsors, 351 Windsors, and some 302 and 351 Clevelands early till about mid 72 in Australia and sort of 71 in the US. If you look over here at this box, this one's a bit different to the one I picked up the other week. You will notice this is from a 67 Mustang Fastback floor shift. This one has the selector coming up to the top. Still has the original neutral switch on the side here. Now most of the case fill gearboxes are case vent, and they've got like the breathing of the gearbox comes out of the side here through this little tube and comes down, which, as I mentioned, some guys like to for drag racing purposes. When you're really revving an engine high over 7200 RPM, C4s have a bit of a tendency to cavitate, chop the oil up, and what you need to do when you get off of them, because the oil's going to cavitate, expand and become foam-like, it's going to make more volume than what the box is meant to have. You'll get off and they'll drain a little bit out the overflow. These later model boxes have a bit of a different way that they got around the breather, and they've put it into the extension housing. So the way guys get around this is they tap it and they put a little nipple in with a 90-degree fitting. I prefer these boxes. This is what they refer to as the pan fill. Do you mind coming around here? Thanks, bro. Thanks, Dance, for helping with the video. If you want to check out his YouTube channel, it's called The RC Master, and he's got a Red XD Falcon as his profile pic. Right, what I want to show here is, if you don't mind coming over here, this is what they refer to as a pan fill gearbox with a blended bell housing, and this is a case fill with a stepped bell housing. Now this bell housing bolts to the pump, as I mentioned. If you come around the front and have a bit of a peek in here, you guys will notice that this bell housing bolts to the actual case of the gearbox, not to the pump. So this gearbox is favoured in turbo barra applications, fitting behind 1JZ, 2JZ, a whole lot of gearboxes, engines, drag racing. Guys prefer this box as it has a 26 spline input shaft and a 28 spline output. These ones are 24 spline. If you have a keen eye, you will notice this tiny little rebate here. Some of these boxes, very rarely and very few, do have a 26 on the front, but they'll be 24 on the back because they're an early pump. Right, now that we've got the discussion out of the way of the bell housings, I'm going to give everyone another little tip here. If you're ever looking at a car for sale anywhere in the world, and you've popped the bonnet and you want to have a look, you can look at the back of the engine and you'll see these two ribs here. If you see these two ribs, it's a C4. An FMX has one rib and is a bit different, and a C6 has no ribs. Here the ribs are down lower on only the Ridgeback C6. Normal C6s are blended. The other thing you will notice with the C6 is the bell housing doesn't bolt off from the gearbox, and they will have a 31 spline output. Now an FMX gearbox has an iron case, and they've got a 31 spline output as well. We have a lot of those fitted in Australian cars. If you want to have a quick look over here, this pan fill C4 has a selector shaft that is equipped to be both in a floor shift and in a column shift vehicle. This is the kickdown. You're going to see in the video when I picked this one up. Unfortunately, well, funnily actually, I've picked up a different case fill, so this one's not that one that I showed you that I picked up, but it's the one that I'm showing you in the video today. This gearbox here has a 2,500 stall converter. Now, if you, sorry guys, I'm really hot. It's a really hot day today. I was to pull this input shaft out of this box and put it into the center of this converter, it will positively engage and it'll be tight. If I was to pull it back out of here, we don't want to make a mess, there'll be a bit of oil on there. Come and try and put it into this gearbox. Can you hear this, guys? This is very costly. Now, I'm a really nice guy and I'm doing this video to teach you all a few things. I don't like being the guy who's got to come on the scene and look at a car and try and figure out what's wrong once the damage is done. So please everyone, watch this video and pay attention. I'm going to point out a whole lot of things here. If you do this, if you put one of these converters into one of these gearboxes, you're not going to have any luck. Now, another thing to look at when you do remove an input shaft is how worn it is. They're all going to have a little bit of a wear here from the bushing in the back of the gearbox, but what you want to look at is the rear of the pilot. Now this one's factory machined, that's what you want to see, that's beautiful. The one that I brought earlier in the other video had a bit of grinding here, it was no good. That box is in at a gearbox shop and I'm getting a mate to look through it. This gearbox is a good one, ready to go. Now another little thing I want to point out here, another little thing to look at here, guys, is this on the bell housing on the front edge. There's a triangle cutout. Now this one here indicates straight away that this gearbox needs a 157 tooth flex plate. This gearbox here also has a triangle, but it's a lot smaller. So this gearbox here with the bigger input shaft, which is also a very good one. Now if you look closely, it's just the very edge there, but all of this stuff now is 45-50 years old. There's going to be some damage somewhere on these things. This dipstick here is worth quite a bit of money on the case fill. This dipstick's original here on the pan fill. That's a good way, first thing, to tell them apart. Second thing, when you're looking at any gearbox, just have a quick look at the shaft. Another thing I like to look at, I don't want to bore everyone with information, but is the bushing itself. The bushing's very clean, it hasn't got any polished sections or worn sections, which would show that the gearbox is so worn inside that there's a little bit too much loose. Both of these gearboxes are in very good working order. Why I've pulled these aside here today to show you. Okay, both of these gearboxes here have my tick of approval. I've had a good look at them and I'm happy with them. Alright, let's step over to the front here. Now I'm going to show you some of the things that are catching everybody out. Pan-filled gearbox, 26 spline input shaft, 28 spline output. Case fill, 24 spline. If you look here closely, you'll see this little step. Some of these are 26 spline, very rarely, and you'll see they've got a straight, but they'll be 24 on the back. This stool converter here is a 2,500 stool converter. This is a case fill bell housing sandwich plate. If you put it here, the difference is, and the way that I pick them, is from this little tag off to the side. That suits the smaller flange, like so. These ones here, they don't have the flange sticking off of the side of the sandwich plate, and if you look at here, where you can see the grease line, you'll see that these bigger ones on here is what you want to be looking for. This one's automatic. I haven't got any inspection plates handy to show you guys today. Look at the differences here. I'm kind of getting sick of having to explain to people and help the guys out. Once they've stuffed up and fitted the wrong componentry in between here, the case fill boxes run a 157 tooth flex plate. This one happens to be a TCI. The pan fills run 164. So if you have a look here on the overlap, look at the difference in the starter motor mesh. Look at the difference here in the flywheel diameter and circumference. The second thing you will notice, if I was to roll this around, is the actual torque converter stud pitch is completely out too, by about 375 thou from memory. So it's not really exactly like you can mismatch this to that and muck around and rebolt it, because there's not going to be enough room here to put a bigger converter onto a smaller flex. There's not going to be enough room to drill this onto here where the bent is. giving a lot of information away in this video. It's not an easy thing to do. I have to actually spend a fair bit of money to make this happen. It's 40 degrees today. Hopefully everyone learned something. One of the next videos I'll be working on is this engine here I picked up the other week from a 1971 Torino. It's a 302 5 litre that was seized. So I'm going to show you guys what to do when you get a motor that's stuck, how to free it up, how to pull it down, and ascertain what to do with it, whether it's rebuildable, salvageable, what you can use, what you need to get rid of. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Pay attention to that video, hopefully everyone learned something. Don't mix and match your components with C4s, it's going to get costly.